Perhaps the only place on Earth that remains undiscovered and full of mysteries is the oceans. Oceans cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface. The average depth of most oceans is about 3.7 kilometers, but in some places the depth exceeds 11 kilometers. One such place is the Mariana Trench, a location that, despite freezing cold temperatures and incredible pressure in its depths, is home to beings waiting to be discovered. But do we really know what is hidden in such a deep place? How was this trench actually discovered? What does it have to do with the Soviet Union? And has the mystery behind the two strange sound recordings that came from the Mariana Trench over time been solved? In this video, we will search for answers to all of these questions and, together, descend into the depths of the Mariana Trench on a journey full of mystery. About 180 million years ago, while dinosaurs ruled the land during the Jurassic period, a battle began deep within the oceans. Two massive tectonic plates slowly but irresistibly collided. The Pacific Plate began sliding beneath the Philippine Plate, pulling the enormous weight of the ocean floor downward and creating the deepest rift on our rotating planet, the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench stretches for about 2,550 kilometers across the ocean. Its deepest point lies at 10,984 meters, and recent measurements suggest it may exceed 11,000 meters. In other words, it is a place as wide as continents horizontally and deep enough vertically to swallow Mount Everest. And in 1872, it was about to be discovered. Chapter 1: Discovery. The ship HMS Challenger set out on one of the greatest global ocean expeditions in maritime history. With the goal of mapping the ocean floor, the expedition covered nearly 70,000 nautical miles, equivalent to traveling 1/3 of the distance between the Earth and the Moon. During the journey, measurements were taken at 350 different locations. To measure depth, they used an iron rod attached to a long rope. When the rod touched the seabed, the depth could be calculated. These voyages produced the first rough map of the ocean floor. During one of these journeys, the crew stopped near Guam Island in the western Pacific and lowered the rope. The rope began to unwind from the reel with a creaking sound. Minutes passed, yet the rope continued descending and the reel spun faster and faster. 3,000 meters, 5,000 meters, 7,000 meters. The crew looked at one another in astonishment. The end of the rope still hadn't appeared. Finally, the reel stopped. When they checked the measured depth, they couldn't believe it. 4,475 fathoms, 8,185 meters. Silence enveloped the ship. No depth they had encountered before had been anywhere near this extreme. Beneath the sea lay a seemingly bottomless void, as if they were face to face with the hidden in the Earth itself. That day, without even realizing it, the crew of HMS Challenger wrote the first page of a discovery that would go down in history. At this point, it's worth mentioning a few lesser-known facts. The depth recorded during the first discovery was actually measured incorrectly. Ocean currents and the bending of the rope were not taken into account. Another fact is that the idea of mapping the ocean floor was not originally scientific, but military in nature. The ultimate goal was to identify suitable areas for laying underwater cables and to optimize naval routes. Returning to the story years later, in 1951, the British research vessel HMS Challenger decided to use the newly developed sonar technology. Sonar had been invented in the early 1900s and was used in the 1940s to detect enemy submarines. The system sends sound waves underwater. When these waves hit solid objects, they reflect back, revealing what lies beneath and how deep it is. Why not use this technology to map the seafloor? It was far cheaper and faster than lowering ropes into the sea. Biggest question was how deep the Mariana Trench really was. When HMS Challenger took measurements, another astonishing discovery was made. The screen showed a depth of approximately 10,900 meters, the deepest point in the ocean. If a 102-story Empire State Building were placed there, it would look like a toy at the bottom. In honor of the ship, this deepest point was named Challenger Deep. People were eager to learn how this trench formed and what it looked like, because it was the deepest place on the planet. Now there was only one thing left to do: go down there. Chapter 2: Journey into the Depths. Scientists wanted to descend to the deepest point of the Mariana Trench. But there was a major problem. The pressure there was about 1,000 times greater than normal. That's equivalent to having the weight of 3 Eiffel Towers pressing down on you. To demonstrate this, a team conducted an experiment by placing a mannequin's head into a pressure chamber. The result was both fascinating and unsettling. The head was dramatically compressed, even though it was made of dense rubber. Imagining what would happen to a human body was terrifying. A solution was needed. In 1953, the eccentric Swiss scientist Auguste Piccard wanted to become the first person to descend into Challenger Deep. This required a pressure-resistant submersible. In the early 1950s, Piccard designed a special deep-sea vessel called a bathyscaphe. Unlike traditional submarines designed for horizontal movement, bathyscaphes were built for vertical dives and maximum depth. Work began in Italy in 1953. By 1954, test dives reached only 3,500 meters. In 1958, the U.S. Navy purchased the vessel Trieste and modified it to withstand depths of up to 11,000 meters. Finally, on January 23, 1960, Trieste made its historic dive into the Mariana Trench. Not Auguste Piccard, but his son Jacques Piccard and U.S. Navy officer Don Walsh volunteered for the mission. Auguste was too old to risk the journey. The two men would spend 9 hours in an extremely confined space on a highly dangerous mission. They descended slowly at about 3 miles per hour. After 3,000 feet, they were enveloped in total darkness. Soon, they witnessed something extraordinary: bioluminescent sea creatures emitting their own light. It felt like a fantasy world. After about 5 hours, they reached the bottom, 36,000 feet deep, a place that 99.9% of humanity would never see. Absolute darkness, a silent, unknown world. Near the seabed, they observed soft, mud-like sediment and very few sea creatures. One sight was particularly striking: a flat, white fish about 30 centimeters long. Scientists believed this was impossible. Bony fish were not supposed to survive at such depths. Perhaps science was wrong. Jacques Piccard later wrote in his book, "The answer to a question biologists had been asking for decades was suddenly before us. Could there be life at the deepest part of the ocean?" This life was there, right before our eyes. Due to stirred-up sediment, camera footage became unclear, and the team had no choice but to ascend. Still, they had achieved the impossible, the deepest manned dive in history. The United States quickly capitalized on the achievement. After the Soviet Union became the first nation in space in 1957, the U.S. presented itself in 1960 as the first nation to reach the deepest point on Earth. An endeavor started by a Swiss scientist was claimed by America, hardly surprising. The region below 6,000 meters had long been called the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the god of the underworld. The darkest, coldest, and most unforgiving region of the ocean felt like a reflection of the land of the dead beneath the sea. Perhaps this is why, years later, mysterious sounds recorded from the depths of the Mariana Trench led some to believe that something else might be living there. Chapter 3: Mysterious Sounds. In 1997, NOAA recorded a strange sound unlike massive ocean noises such as the blob. It could be detected from over 3,000 kilometers away and resembled neither waves, earthquakes, nor known marine animals. Some scientists suggested it might belong to a gigantic sea creature, while others believed it indicated an unknown geological event. No definitive evidence was ever found. In late 2014, another strange sound was recorded west of the Mariana Trench. NOAA's deep-sea microphones detected a low rumble followed by a rising high-pitched tone. Initially unsolved, months of analysis later identified it as an unusual call of the minke whale Balanoptera cuterostrata, the closest plausible explanation. Still, one question remains unanswered. Why were these sounds heard only during certain periods and specifically around the Mariana Trench? Even today, The true source of those mysterious sounds and what lies hidden in the depths of the Hadal Zone remain unknown. Perhaps one day technology will allow us to reach what is concealed there. Until then, the Mariana Trench will continue to be one of the greatest mysteries of our planet.